Michael Collins was born on October 16, 1890, in the small village of Sam's Cross, nestled in County Cork, Ireland. As the youngest of 8 siblings in a farming family, his early years were spent amidst the rural rhythms of Irish life. His father, Michael John Collins, was a well-read and thoughtful man who instilled in him a sense of Irish pride and history before passing away when Collins was just 6 years old. This loss marked the beginning of a childhood shaped by strong maternal guidance, local schooling, and an environment steeped in nationalist ideals. Collins' education began in the local national school, where he showed a natural curiosity for learning. He developed an early interest in Ireland's political struggles and immersed himself in the stories of its resistance to British rule. These tales ignited his youthful imagination, fostering a sense of duty to contribute to his country's independence. His mother, Mary Ann O'Brien, a devout Catholic, ensured that he understood the importance of perseverance and faith in adversity. This mix of rural simplicity and a deep awareness of Irish history planted the seeds of a revolutionary spirit that would soon emerge. At the age of 15, Collins left County Cork to work as a clerk in the British Postal Service in London. This transition exposed him to the complexities of life under British dominance and the struggles of the Irish diaspora. Living among expatriates, Collins experienced firsthand the challenges faced by his fellow countrymen, strengthening his resolve to fight for Ireland's freedom. In London, he became involved with the Gaelic League and the Irish Republican Brotherhood, IRB, both of which emphasized Irish cultural and political revival. These formative experiences in England sharpened his understanding of the political challenges ahead. The IRB played a pivotal role in Collins' transformation into a revolutionary. As a clandestine organization committed to achieving Irish independence through armed struggle, it offered him a network of like-minded nationalists. Collins quickly earned a reputation for his organizational skills and unyielding commitment to the cause. His time in London also provided opportunities to learn about British governmental structures, a knowledge base he would later use effectively against his adversaries. By the time Collins returned to Ireland in 1916, he was no longer just a clerk, but a dedicated revolutionary prepared to fight for his nation's sovereignty. The 1916 Easter Rising was a turning point in Collins's life. Although he played a relatively minor role as a staff officer during the week-long rebellion, the event had a profound impact on him. The Rising, though ultimately crushed by British forces, reawakened nationalist fervor in Ireland. Collins witnessed the executions of the rebellion's leaders, including Patrick Pearse and James Connolly, which hardened his resolve. The sacrifice of these men cemented his belief that freedom could only be won through calculated and sustained resistance. It was this period that transformed Collins into a key figure in the movement. Following the Rising, Collins emerged as a rising star within Sinn Féin, the political party that became the standard-bearer for Irish independence. His energy and intelligence set him apart, and he quickly climbed the ranks of the party. He believed that independence required not only political action, but also a military strategy capable of confronting British forces. This dual approach would define his leadership style. Collins became an advocate for guerrilla warfare, viewing it as a practical way to counter British dominance. The failure of the Easter Rising, in his view, was not an end, but a beginning. Collins' appointment as Director of Intelligence for the Irish Republican Army during the War of Independence proved pivotal. He understood that the British Empire's strength lay in its intelligence apparatus and sought to dismantle it from within. He established an intricate network of spies, informants, and couriers to gather critical information about British operations in Ireland. This network allowed the IRA to stay one step ahead of its opponents. Collins also organized the Squad, a group of assassins tasked with targeting British intelligence officers. These actions crippled British efforts and made Collins one of their most wanted men. Collins revolutionized the tactics of the Irish struggle through his innovative use of guerrilla warfare. Recognizing that the IRA could not match British forces in open battle, he emphasized ambushes, sabotage, and hit-and-run attacks. These tactics, carried out by small mobile units, frustrated British efforts to suppress the movement. Collins' strategy relied on the support of local communities, who provided shelter and supplies to the IRA. His ability to inspire loyalty and maintain secrecy was instrumental in sustaining the campaign. Under his leadership, the IRA transformed into a formidable force that challenged Britain's grip on Ireland. One of Collins' most audacious operations was the coordinated attack on British intelligence officers in Dublin on November 21, 1920, a day known as Bloody Sunday. Members of the Squad assassinated 14 British agents in a single morning, striking a devastating blow to British intelligence operations. The reprisals that followed, including the massacre of civilians by British forces at Croke Park, highlighted the brutality of the conflict. Bloody Sunday demonstrated Collins's strategic brilliance and his willingness to take bold actions to weaken British authority. The event marked a turning point in the War of Independence. As the War of Independence escalated, Collins faced mounting challenges. The British government intensified its efforts to crush the IRA, deploying the Black and Tans and the auxiliaries, notorious for their harsh reprisals against civilians. Despite these pressures, Collins maintained his focus, balancing the demands of military operations with the need to keep morale high among his forces. The toll of the war was immense, both for Collins personally and for the Irish population. Yet, his determination and resourcefulness ensured that the struggle continued, eventually forcing the British to consider negotiations with the nationalist movement. In 1921, a truce was declared, leading to negotiations between the British government and representatives of the Irish nationalist movement. Collins, reluctant to attend but selected as a delegate, found himself at the forefront of these historic talks. The British delegation, led by Prime Minister David Lloyd George, sought a compromise that would maintain British influence while addressing Irish demands. Collins understood the stakes and approached the negotiations with a pragmatic mindset. While he desired full independence for Ireland, he recognized the necessity of achieving incremental progress to avoid further bloodshed and secure a foundation for future sovereignty. The Anglo-Irish Treaty, signed on December 6, 1921, established the Irish Free State as a self-governing dominion within the British Empire. While it granted Ireland significant autonomy, it fell short of the full independence many had fought for. The treaty also allowed Northern Ireland to remain part of the United Kingdom, a decision that entrenched partition. Collins viewed the agreement as a stepping stone toward full independence, famously describing it as the freedom to achieve freedom. However, the treaty required Irish parliamentarians to swear allegiance to the British Crown, a provision that deeply divided the nationalist movement. The treaty's ratification by a narrow margin in the Dáil Éireann Irish Parliament exposed deep divisions within the nationalist movement. Eamon de Valera, who opposed the treaty, resigned as President of the Republic, and Ireland descended into political turmoil. Collins became the head of the provisional government tasked with implementing the treaty, but his leadership was met with fierce opposition from the anti-treaty faction. Former comrades turned against each other, and the country was plunged into civil war. The divisions were not merely political but deeply personal, fracturing relationships forged during the struggle for independence. The Irish Civil War began in June 1922, pitting the pro-treaty forces led by Collins against the anti-treaty faction. The conflict was bitter and brutal, with both sides claiming legitimacy as the true heirs of the nationalist cause. Collins, now Commander-in-Chief of the Free State Army, faced the heartbreaking task of fighting former allies. Despite the immense pressures of war, he worked tirelessly to stabilize the fledgling Irish Free State and maintain order. His leadership during this period showcased his resilience and commitment to Ireland's future, even as the war took a heavy toll on the nation. On August 22, 1922, Collins was traveling through County Cork, his native region, when his convoy was ambushed by anti-treaty forces at Bale na Blá. Refusing to retreat, Collins ordered his men to return fire. During the firefight, he was fatally shot, dying at the age of 31. His death shocked Ireland and marked a devastating loss for the Free State. Collins' passing symbolized the human cost of the Civil War and left a void in Irish leadership. Many believe that had he lived, he might have reconciled the warring factions and united the country. Michael Collins' death sent shockwaves through Ireland. The loss of such a charismatic and capable leader left the fledgling Irish Free State in mourning and further deepened the divisions of the Civil War. Collins was not merely a military strategist or political figure. He was a symbol of the promise of a united and independent Ireland. His funeral was attended by thousands, with ordinary citizens, political figures, and military personnel paying their respects. The grief that enveloped the nation underscored the profound impact Collins had made in his short life and the hope he had inspired among his people. Collins' assassination left a significant void in Irish leadership. As both a military commander and a statesman, he had provided direction during one of the most tumultuous periods in the country's history. His death complicated efforts to end the Civil War, as no other leader possessed his unique combination of charisma, pragmatism, and determination. For the pro-treaty side, losing Collins was a devastating blow, as he had been a unifying figure capable of bridging divides. In the years following his death, Ireland struggled to recover from the deep wounds of the Civil War, both politically and socially. Collins had envisioned an Ireland that was not only politically independent, but also economically self-sufficient and socially progressive. He dreamed of a nation free from the divisions of class and religion, where all citizens could thrive. The treaty, in his view, was the foundation upon which this vision could be built. However, his untimely death left many of these plans unrealized. Without his leadership, the Irish Free State faced challenges in implementing reforms and addressing the lingering tensions caused by partition. Collins' absence was felt acutely as the country navigated the complex realities of post-independence governance. One of Collins' most enduring legacies was his innovative approach to revolution. His use of guerrilla warfare and intelligence operations fundamentally changed how smaller, under-resourced forces could challenge powerful adversaries. By emphasizing mobility, secrecy, and targeted strikes, Collins maximized the IRA's effectiveness against the British. His establishment of the Squad and his ability to gather intelligence from within British ranks demonstrated a strategic brilliance that remains studied by military leaders to this day. Collins' methods were not only effective in the Irish context, but also inspired other independence movements around the world, seeking to resist colonial rule. Despite his accomplishments, Collins' legacy has always been controversial. For some, he was a hero who sacrificed everything for Ireland's freedom, while for others, he was a compromiser who accepted a treaty that fell short of the Republic's ideals. His decision to support the Anglo-Irish Treaty created lasting divisions within the nationalist movement, and the subsequent Civil War left scars that would take decades to heal. Nevertheless, Collins' pragmatism and foresight in recognizing the treaty as a necessary step forward have earned him respect among many historians. His life embodies the tensions between idealism and practicality in revolutionary politics. The Anglo-Irish Treaty remains one of the most debated aspects of Collins' career. Signed under intense pressure, including threats of renewed war from British Prime Minister David Lloyd George, the treaty was both a victory and a compromise. While it secured significant autonomy for the Irish Free State, it left Northern Ireland within the United Kingdom and required an oath of allegiance to the Crown. Collins defended the treaty as a pragmatic solution that avoided further bloodshed, but opponents like Eamon de Valera viewed it as a betrayal. The resulting split underscored the difficulty of achieving unity in a fractured movement. The division caused by the treaty had far-reaching consequences for Ireland. Former comrades in arms became bitter enemies, and the Civil War tore apart families and communities. The anti-treaty faction viewed the Free State as a puppet government under British control, while the pro-treaty side argued that it was a stepping stone toward full independence. These divisions reflected deeper questions about Ireland's future, whether compromise was acceptable in the pursuit of sovereignty, and how to reconcile differing visions of freedom. Collins' death during this conflict made him a martyr for the pro-treaty cause and a lasting symbol of these unresolved tensions. Collins' life was marked by personal sacrifice. His intense dedication to the cause of Irish independence left little room for a private life. His engagement to Kitty Kiernan, a woman he deeply loved, was overshadowed by his political and military responsibilities. The letters they exchanged during the War of Independence and Civil War reveal a man who yearned for normalcy but was constantly pulled away by the demands of leadership. Collins' willingness to risk everything, including his life, for the dream of an independent Ireland came at great personal cost. His story is one of devotion to a cause greater than himself. Historians continue to grapple with Collins' legacy, analyzing his decisions, leadership style, and ultimate impact on Ireland. Some see him as the architect of Ireland's independence, whose vision laid the groundwork for the modern Irish state. Others argue that his acceptance of the treaty entrenched partition and failed to deliver on the promise of a united Ireland. Regardless of these debates, Collins' importance in Irish history is undeniable. His story highlights the complexities of leadership during revolutionary times and the difficult choices faced by those who seek to balance ideals with practical realities. Today, Michael Collins is remembered as one of Ireland's greatest leaders. His contributions to the War of Independence, his role in negotiating the treaty, and his leadership during the early days of the Irish Free State have cemented his place in the nation's history. Monuments, commemorative events, and countless books and films celebrate his life and legacy. Yet, his story is also a reminder of the challenges and sacrifices involved in the pursuit of freedom. Collins remains a symbol of courage, determination, and the enduring struggle to create a better future for Ireland. His legacy continues to inspire.